recording.
Hey, so today's conversation, we're going to have a good chat about an experience that you have gone through as a realtor representing a real estate investor in the community of Barrie. So to give the viewer some background, property is 58 Jones. You had an accepted offer on this property some months ago, and June, and now we are in October and the property hasn't closed. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys have extended the closing date because the tenant will not leave. So tell me what happened.
So the property sold in the middle of June, and you can't give tenants notice till the first of the month. So on July 1st, they got 60-day notice that the property was sold. They were given the N, I think it's the N12, that the property was sold and the buyer's moving in. And that's 60 days is the legal notice, and the N12 is the legal documentation required. So when they got that, they said, well, until we get a court order, we're not leaving. So our closing date was September 5th. And my client offered them money, $5,000 plus last month's rent. So it's over
when did you offer them that? Was that at the beginning of
right
the
at the
offer?
beginning?
So if you had, did you have an accepted offer at that point in June?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we offered them right at the beginning, and they refused and said they wanted $40,000.
Wow.
And that if they didn't have a court order and the court eviction, because in their mind, they didn't receive an eviction notice, because to them, the N12 wasn't an eviction notice. They said, when a court gives us an eviction, then we'll leave.
Right. And we all know
go ahead.
Court, the landlord tenant board, it's backed up for months, and the tenants know it would take 8 to 10 months possibly to get that eviction notice. No home buyer is going to buy that property and wait 10 months or 8 months or 6 months to get access to the property.
Right.
So it baffles me.
Hold on. Then they tried to pay rent though. And if you accept the rent payment, you are extending the tenancy again. So we can't accept the rent payments. So my client hasn't got rent for August, September, or October now. But you can't, because in the eyes of the law, if you accept payment, you're extending a tenancy again. So you can't do that.
Wow.
So yeah. So then the paralegal put in for an emergency hearing. And we did get an emergency hearing date in November. So at least it didn't take.
Before you go further, so when did you put in for the emergency, for that date, emergency tenancy hearing?
Mid-August, with the agreement of purchase and sale, with a closing date dated September 5th.
Okay, so let me ask you, so the landlord tenant board got the purchase agreement. They clearly seen the closing date is September 1st or September, was it closing date?
September 5th.
September 5th. And what date did they end up giving you?
November 9th.
November 9th. So again, that's possibly could sabotage that deal.
Yes. So what happened was we asked for the emergency hearing in August, right? And we also had to provide an affidavit from the buyer that they're moving in as a family home, and they are. Right. So they had already given notice in their property in Brampton and had nowhere to live. So we had to find them alternate accommodations as of September 1st, because they had nowhere to live.
Who paid for that?
My client, the seller.
So he's not collecting any rent for 4 months, putting the new buyer up in accommodations at his expense, losing money, I think, on the monthly. He's basically subsidizing the rent in a sense. He's losing every month, correct?
It's almost 10 to 12,000 a month. I figured it all out.
So walk us through that.
So because he has to pay accommodations in one place, plus he has to pay his mortgage, right? By the time you have to pay all of these things and the utilities in all these places, and the one mortgage, like the mortgages are almost $4,500 a month.
That's crazy. And what's the rent? What rent was he
The rent
charging?
was only $2,100 because they've been there 5 years. So of course they don't want to leave.
Oh, yeah.
And think about it. If they stay there for 7-8 months, that's $16,000-$17,000 they're saving by waiting for a court date.
Massive.
Why wouldn't they?
No, I know it's crazy. Hang on, my dog's gonna go. Put pause. I'm gonna put some food down. He's
I can't
stupid.
pause.
Don't pause. It's okay.
I'll keep talking. So the issue here is do you offer more money up front? Because by the time you're done everything, you lose so much money that you might as well have offered the tenant more money to begin with and just get this over with, right? So
100%.
the other thing is, we did get the buyer to agree to extend
Okay.
till November 15th.
That's approaching.
Yes, but the November 9th court date still doesn't work. Because you would have to, they're still not going to be out, right?
No, they're not going to be out.
No.
But I'd still go though. Is your landlord, is your client still going to attend that meeting?
No, so right now my landlord or my seller is offering even more money for them to be out by the end of the month. Because you might as well at this point, like
He's going to lose the sale.
we need the sale, and what are we going to do? Start all over again after 4 months of nonsense? Like that court date is actually 5 months from when they bought it, and values are going down, Mark, by the way, since then.
Yeah, there's some
Oh,
funny
believe
stuff
me,
going.
since June they have, like in that neighborhood.
Right.
And the buyer agent, don't you think he's sending me that?
100%.
100% he is.
It's in your best interest of your client to close that deal and give them kind of more money to disappear and take the money and, go after them from head to toe for the non-payment from August and, sue them civilly, small claims. And I'm sure there's damages in that property. I'm sure it looks like shit.
There is, yeah.
So go after everything for that, and this is, me and you see this all the time, right? As the new investors coming into buying properties thinks it's really an easy process. It's not a real easy process to be a landlord today. They need to understand everything and what they're getting into. And I don't think a lot of people do. More and more I see on social media, and I'm on TikTok a lot posting, there was a landlord, maybe I could try to, I won't look for it. Went up, the tenant didn't pay rent. So he went up on the garage door and said, pay your bills and get a job, all in black spray paint all over his garage, just to make a point. So we can see the frustration building more and more and more over the last 2 years with how much money landlords are being out today because the system is so skewed towards the tenants. And let's be honest, nothing is going to change with the housing crisis that we're in today.
No. Well, the other issue that I have is that I've had comments, and we've had comments on some of our videos that, oh, these landlords are just trying to make a killing and they just want higher rent and blah, blah, blah. Well, most landlords that have duplexes aren't millionaires. Millionaires buy commercial properties. They don't buy little wee houses. Second of all, if you don't have a tenant paying for 2 or 3 months, these guys are going broke. They don't have the money to do that. And third of all, most investors went variable rate. Most of them are now paying money every month.
Subsidizing these rents today.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Right. I think any investor buying a couple of years back would have always take the variable because it's going to cash flow like a king. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not upside down. Now that investor that's holding property today, a lot of them are underwater each month and subsidizing rents in this province today.
Yeah, you
Which-
can't get a cash flowing, property. And even Rob, who we had on before, the mortgage agent, he has some investment properties. His are all variable rate. Everybody went variable rate when they were an investor.
100%.
So a lot of people are underwater for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the general public, assumption and perception is that they all have so much money. They don't.
Yeah. And they think it's okay to fuck a landlord over and steal. And I hate that stereotype, but it's just so that landlords are loaded, landlords are greedy, landlords are this, good for them, they're losing money. But the end all, the tenants are paying it. Rents are going up $100 a month in this province, $100 a month. The pool is shrinking and supply is shrinking. And who can qualify to get into the housing market today? So these renters are renting longer, saying, hey, we got to sit back on the sidelines till rates come down so we can get into buying a home sometime.
Well, you know what's funny too? I was talking to an agent from Toronto who had a couple of people trying to get leases. And he said it's harder to get a lease than get a mortgage. They want 750 or over a credit rating. They want good jobs. They want employment letters. They want, and I said, well, of course, because if you get a tenant that doesn't pay, you can't get them out.
Can't get them out.
So now you're being so picky, right?
Have to be. You have to be. Every I and T has to be crossed. And, being on these social media platforms that I am a lot, I have a lot of people jumping on and leaving comments. And I want to pass this on to our viewers. If you're a landlord and, a lot of landlords don't know that you can report credit ratings today. So it's called frontlobby.com, report late payments against tenants. It hits the credit bureau. These are things that should be done because it's going to impact that tenant getting into another property at some point or another. They're not, because all these landlords want 800, 750 credit scores. You got one blip in it, non-payment of rent, you're gone.
Well, yeah, I want you to actually email me that too, or text me that link, because that was one thing that my one client said, well, if they wouldn't pay their rent, then their credit score would be bad. No. If your credit score doesn't go down if you don't pay rent, if no one reports anything, it doesn't go down.
It's got to be reported. And there's another one too called openroom.ca too. So you're seeing a lot more of these agencies in communities being set up because it's a group of landlords, right? Or it could be charging, I don't really know, but things are being set up because they're not being set up on the provincial regulations and legislation for landlords. It's an open season there for landlords, I feel, in Ontario today.
Yeah, well, and the other issue is because it can't be reported, or there's no, like, if you miss a phone payment, it goes against your credit. If you're missing credit card payments, it goes against your credit. But you can not pay rent for a year, it doesn't affect it at all.
Changing. They should be reporting. So, again, I'm going to say it again just so everyone gets it. Frontlobby.com and openroom.ca. So start using those stuffs. And there's even some forums on Facebook as well, where people can join groups today too. And it's what a great way to collaborate, right? With other landlords, getting ideas, opinions. I believe that anyone who's not paying rent today should be smashing that person's name and photograph off everywhere in that community to make it so difficult. So that could change things. And, on the other side, yeah, I'm bashing the tenants and I always do, but I want to say there's also some good tenants out there that get painted with the same brush, which fortunate. But it happens.
You know what? Yeah, it's the same thing in anything in the world, right? Like there's bad real estate agents and good ones. You hear people complain, right? And it's the same with tenants. There's some great ones, right? There is.
For sure. I've had them.
They treat it like their own home. They, everything is well kept. They pay their rent all the time. And by the way, 58 Jones, I must say, paid the rent all the time. They never missed a rent payment.
Yeah, which is good.
But they were there. Yeah. But they were there for almost 5.5 years. And My client is underwater. He's paying $4,500 a month for a mortgage and they're only giving him 21. He
Crazy.
can't do it anymore. So
No wonder he has to sell it. Get out.
he has to. So it's not a matter of we're selling, and a couple comments they made were, well, it's our home. I hate to tell you, it's not.
Renting. You're borrowing it. You're paying each day or month to occupy it. You don't own the goddamn thing.
No.
So,
whether you had your children there or whether you have some kind of sentimental value, it's not your home.
no.
It's not your property. You're borrowing it. You're paying rent. My client's drowning. He has to get out.
He has to get out. Yeah.
And you refuse to leave.
So tell me, so you mentioned before that you guys have went back to the table and offered more money for the tenants to vacate the property. Why don't you tell the viewers how that kind of came together?
Well, as the court date started coming close, now they realize that they're going to ask for 40,000. We're offering them just over 7, and they're going to end up getting evicted now. So if we actually go to the court date, they are going to get an eviction, and they're going to get no money.
Correct.
0.
Have they accepted your payment terms? Your client's payment? So what was the amount? 7,000?
15. We're up to 15 plus last month's rent, 17.
So 17. So your seller's is going to write them a check on closing day for $17,000 ago.
A bank draft, not a check.
Draft. Yeah. So bank draft. Okay. Now, how's that going to go down on the day of closing of when these new buyers
you don't get the money until you vacate the property.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to actually be gone. Like you're moving trucks in the road, and then you get the money.
It's pretty sad, when someone's drowning financially and has to come up with $17,000 just because they can't risk losing that deal.
Well, I'm sure he's borrowing it.
Well, 100%.
He's just gonna go get a line of credit or something on the house, because he'll be able to pay it off as soon as it closes.
Sure.
But you got to do something.
And we're seeing more of this, right? That deal we did for Zach and Justin up in Aurelia, right? Where
4 months that took, Mark, to get those tenants out.
Paralegal, not going, and David, who's the owner, really was dicking around with giving them thousands. At the end, he had to step up and give them tens of thousands of dollars to leave. They were leaving for a couple of months.
Well, this is what I'm saying, and this is what I was kind of trying to tell my seller on Jodes right from the beginning. Offer them a large amount. Like, he would have saved way more money. He lost 100%. Way more money dicking around with 5,000 and this. Just give him the money and run, because in the end, he's lost it anyway, and now he's lost probably, oh my God, 4, 8. He's probably at 18 or 19,000.
It's crazy.
Besides the 17.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just round it up to 40K for this whole ordeal of selling house. Plus you got the real estate commissions on both the sell and buy. A lot of money to sell a house today being a landlord. And to that point, I want to mention to viewers, if you're sitting in there right now thinking of selling your property, don't dick around. Don't dick around. I'll give you 5,000. You got to give them 15, give them 20,000. Who gives a shit? Get them gone, go in, clean it up, then sell it vacant. I saw a couple of properties. I saw a property because I'm listing a semi-detached, and my client sent me this listing, and I said, "Oh, I recognize that property. It's been on the board for like 3 or 4 months. It's got a tenant." So sure enough, when I got home last night, I pulled it up. Oh yeah, it's been a tenant. They tried 800,000. Then they went to 779. Now they're at 769. I said, "Good luck." That's why it's not selling.
Well, anything with the tenant, and I'm not lying. My client sent me 4 last night, and anything with the tenant, I'm just crossing off. Hearing to stop. Oh, I just crossed it right off.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. So landlords, keep that in mind. Don't sell it tenanted. You're going to run into all kinds of problems. The cleanliness of the property, the details, beds not made, 24 hours notice, you're going to miss out. And
or you're going to have to give it away. I look at the one I sold. The one I sold in February. I gave it away.
Oh, yeah,
At
yeah,
Nebraska.
yeah, you did. Yeah, good price, but
I had
ask,
to. Fully
yeah,
tenanted. Nobody's taking it.
and the rents were shit.
No, the upper was
It
good.
was good. Yeah, upper was good. That's right too. Down
The upper
below.
was good.
Was
But
good.
then again, the lower, and this is what happens when you have a long-term tenant, the rent is always really low. And the long-term one is the one you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
Good luck. I know. That's the thing. Well, I think we can wrap it up because Ted the Bozo is wrecking my pillows right now. So I'm going to have to give him.
Well, Gracie was just barking and barking. I just gave her a
Have
bone.
some dog problems. So I'm going to deal with my dog problems and we'll talk soon.
Hit the like, subscribe.
Yes. Follow.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
we'll talk soon. Bye.
Hey, Ted,